So Strinova just released, and if you're just like me, you want to be the best at the game, which is why I'm going to give you a full introduction to Ming and give you some tips and tricks that can help you master Ming. Before we start, subscribe and like for more guides on other characters, and comment down below who should be next. And also, I played the Chinese version of this game before the global release, so I have experience in this game already. Alright, so Ming is a duelist who focuses on shield regeneration, all thanks to her abilities. She is designed to push enemy teams and live longer in a fight while her team follows behind her. Her tactical ability is called Sunderblast, but for now I'm going to call it the Orb. When you use it, Ming will shoot out a red orb, and on contact with the enemy, the orb will stop and damage their shields, dealing 20 damage for every second the enemy touches the orb. The orb lasts for 3 seconds but can reach up to 6 seconds if you buy her upgrade. She also gains slight shield HP when she hits someone with the orb, and though it sounds really good, it's not that much health. But you can buy her awakening to gain more shield when you do hit someone with the orb, and you will gain 55 shield HP. If you miss your orb, it will keep going for 60 meters and stop. The orb can go through walls and floors, so you can throw it before the enemy sees you. Tapping the skill twice will stop it in its place, which can help for stalling or defending sight. The orb can also slow down enemies, which helps you catch up to them, and if that is not enough, if she enters her very own orb, she will gain a massive speed boost to help you catch up to enemies, which makes her one of the best duelists in the game. Her passive is called Aegis Absorb, which I think is a really strong passive. When Ming deals damage to an enemy, she will regain some shield HP back that was lost. Depending on how far you are from hitting the enemy, shield regeneration can vary, but headshots heal the most shield HP and leg shots heal the least. There are some restrictions to this passive, such as not being able to regenerate armor when the enemy has lost their shields completely. And you also cannot regain your shields when using a melee weapon on an enemy, so use a gun as your secondary weapon if you want those shields. Now you might be wondering why I said this passive is really strong. Well, I mainly think is really strong because things that can take damage such as Yvette's bear and Michelle's lasers can regenerate your shields. The bear can completely restore your shields because of its high health, and so does Michelle's ultimate. Her regular lasers heal a little bit of shields, which can be useful in a lot of situations, but the bear can really help you in a lot of situations and can sometimes turn a whole round around at times. Alright, time to explain Ming's ultimate. Her ultimate is called Shield Surge, which I think is an alright ultimate. She gains 100 temporary shield HP, which linearly decays its health by 1, but caps out at 5. For example, in 1 second you lose 1 health, then 2, then 3, then 4, and 5, but it just continuously loses shields at 5 damage per second. Dealing damage will extend the extra shield, but when the extra shield completely runs out, you will not be able to regain that extra shield from the ultimate. You can use her orb to extend the time on the ultimate too, but not much unless you have your awakening. The ultimate lasts around 30 seconds, and you also cannot use melee weapons to regain shields either, so make sure to use a secondary gun. When she activates her ultimate, her bullets gain a slowing effect which can stack for every bullet that hits the enemy, making it great for chasing enemies. This is also important to remember, but you guys already probably know this, in that when Ming activates her ultimate, she cannot shoot for around 2 seconds, leaving you extremely vulnerable, so make sure to find a safe spot to use your ultimate. Now I'm going to move on to her awakenings, which I think are pretty good. Her first awakening is called Cyclic Rally. When Ming loses her shield HP completely, she gains a massive speed boost for around 5 seconds. The effects will restart to 5 seconds every time she loses all her shield HP, and this effect does not stack. Because of Ming's passive, you will continuously activate this awakening, and this awakening is permanent unless you sell it. To summarize, every time Ming loses all her shields, she will gain a speed boost. If she gains at least 1 shield HP and loses it in those 5 seconds, it will restart the timer for the speed boost, and I think it's a decent awakening. Her second awakening is called Static Siphon. When Ming fires her orb, she will gain 55 HP for her shield from the person who is hit. The enemy needs at least 1 shield HP for this to work. The shield also loses health over time, so it's not permanent. This awakening is really great in my opinion. Her third awakening is called Volt Charger. When Ming goes inside of her orb, she will regain lost shield HP that does not lose its health over time, so it's permanent. You will gain around 30 shield HP a second, which is a pretty simple awakening, and it fits really well if you buy her cooldown upgrade. Now for Ming's upgrades, these are kinda opinion based in how I've been playing, so it might not 100% fit your playstyle. But for her firing upgrade, I recommend the base damage, as a lot of the time, the rate of fire multiplier isn't really useful and is barely noticeable. Unless you have a fire rate support, then it's kinda up to you. For her critical upgrade, I would say choose anti-paper, as a lot of the times, players will be in paper mode after losing shield from you using Ming's plasma field. This upgrade does vary from map to map and team comp, but if you are confident in your headshots, then choose headshot upgrade, and it's pretty good for sneak attacks too. For her capacity, I would say this one is optional, but I would say reload speed, since a lot of the times you don't use all 30 bullets, and the reload speed matters when you're in a paper mode or in a 1v1 right in front of you. But honestly, just choose whatever you want for this upgrade and what suits you best. For her final upgrade on accuracy, I would say accuracy control, because her gun recoil is already bad but manageable, and it will help a lot in a mid-range fight. For her skill upgrade, I would say minus 5 second cooldown if you're running her second awakening, which gives you 55 shields when you hit someone, because you will be able to use that awakening a lot more and make more use of it. It is also great for being aggressive in general and helping your team to get a lot of help faster. I will use the +3 duration if you're using Ming's Third Awakening so you can fully get your shields faster and you can stall and play more defensively with that upgrade. For her armor, always choose heavy armor over light armor because she will easily be able to regenerate her armor from her passive and her skills. It almost feels like the heavy armor was made specifically for Ming too. For her final upgrade Survive, I will go for damage reduction since you already have abilities that slow down enemies, so the 15% isn't too useful, and the 25% damage reduction just keeps you alive, which is really useful. If you're wondering which awakening you should use, I say I prefer the second awakening since it is way less situational than the third one. I have tried the third awakening, but I need my ability to hit the enemy rather than it hit me, and the slowness makes it a lot more useful than regaining my shield back. Now, you might think that you might have to run into the orb to chase someone, but you will only regain a little bit of health, and some maps are elevated which doesn't guarantee it, and you will only gain around 15 HP if you do run through it. Another thing is that it isn't the greatest in mid-range fights and long range, but in close range, it actually could work. You're probably wondering, when do you use your abilities? Your orb ability slows down and damages shield HP to enemies, but knowing when to use it is important. Remember that the ability can go through walls, so if you see a teammate who needs help but you're too far away, maybe try throwing an orb at him to help them. You can only use Ming on the attacker side, so you can use her orb to block off defender enemies' entrances to the site. Doing this can stop the enemy or force them to run into the orb, giving you an easier time planting the spike or fighting for the site. You can also use it for corners that you are unsure about. If you hit an enemy, it will also tell you if you dealt damage to them, which is great information for you to either attack or just move back. And they will also have a harder time fighting you or the team. For example, in this map, if I throw my orb right here, it will force a sniper to move, which either limits their information or allows us to push the site easier. In a close range fight though, you 100% want to use it since you put damage in and regain a bit of shields. And you have the second awakening, that's another 55 HP to help you win the fight. Now, when do you use your ultimate? You should use your ultimate when you're in a 1v1 or you're pushing enemies with low health. I do not recommend using it too early as your shield does decay over time. When you think that you need that extra shield, you should also use it at that time. And try having your orb ready when you use your ultimate to slow them down. You should always use it when you're in a safe spot or you're confident that you should be able to pull it off. Here's some random, decent information you should probably remember. Ming starts off with 40 shield HP and has a maximum of 115 shields if you buy heavy shields and 95 if you buy light shields. The maximum amount of shield Ming can have is 215 too. Her gun is really good in close range and mid range fights, but in a long range fight, she kinda struggles. In close range fights, and I mean in like a 5-meter distance from you, just free aim in front of the enemy if you can. If you don't want to, you could just shoulder aim, and if you shoulder aim, try to do it while jumping so you're much harder to hit, because shoulder aiming makes you a lot slower, which makes you an easier target. Now in a mid-range fight around 15 meters, you should shoulder aim or aim with your scope. Shoulder aiming is a lot less accurate but easier to control, while aiming with the scope is accurate but a lot harder to control, so it's up to you which one you prefer. In a long range fight around 25-meter distance, aiming with your scope is probably the best way to go as it's accurate enough to hit the enemies a lot more than just shoulder aiming. But if your opponent is a sniper, try to get closer before fighting. Ming is really strong, but she does have a couple weaknesses. When using her ultimate, she cannot shoot for a short period around 2 seconds, so try not to be caught off guard or don't use it when someone is directly shooting at you. If you need to use it, wait until they run out of ammo, have to reload, then use your ultimate. Another weakness of hers is that she cannot use melee weapons to gain shields, so you have to use the secondary gun to get some shield after shots. Deployables can stop her orb, so be careful when you use it because a Yvette, it might bait your orb on the bear. The recoil is pretty strong, so it might be harder to hit enemies, so try to get used to her gun too. Enemies need shields for her to gain shields. Her whole kit is almost about gaining shields in a fight, so make sure to know if they have shields or not when fighting, and don't get too cocky. Now if you're wondering how to play her on the map, Ming is a very aggressive character. You would need to learn how to properly fight and help your team at the same time. In a close fight, make sure to use your plasma orb to help kill the enemy faster, and avoid being behind the team as your kit is important for getting to site easier. It is sometimes okay to die. If you're on low HP and your teammate needs help, it's okay to help them and get knocked or killed in the process. A lot of the time, not helping can make more of your team die and cause you to lose the round. Try to also finish off enemies if you knock them down, and avoid using your orb if you know you can't kill the enemy far away, because you might need it in those 20 seconds. If you're playing unranked or ranked, you're probably wondering what you should buy first. First round, I say buy the damage increase since it's kind of important in the first round since not everyone has a lot of shields. If you win your first round, then buy heavy shields. That should be your primary upgrade. If you don't have enough to buy heavy shields because you died, then sell your first ability for the heavy shields. It's a necessary sacrifice. If you lost your first round and can't buy anything, then sell your first ability, then buy heavy shields. After you buy your heavy shields, try buying her passive upgrade to get her first awakening, then 25% damage reduction after that to get her second awakening. All of the upgrades are optional after that, so it's up to you how you think it will help you. In my opinion, compared to the other duelists in the game, I would say she is either 2nd or 3rd place for being the best duelist in the game, Velma being 1st place, and Aiko in my opinion being 2nd place, but I think it depends on the map, which is better at times, which is why I think Aiko is either 2nd or 3rd place. You're probably confused about who Aiko is because she has not been released in the beta yet, so you're probably just really confused, but you'll meet her soon enough. I also do think Ming's kit is really great for surviving a fight, as that's all it really does, give you health to survive a fight. And she is really easy to use as a beginner, so don't hesitate to use her. Now this is the end of my Ming guide, and the next guide will be for Madeline, who I think is really OP in a 1v1, and sometimes even better than a duelist even though she's not one. She is one of my 3 mains, and I will explain why in the next guide, but yeah. If you want more guides, hit the like button and subscribe, and also comment down below who you want a guide on after Madeline's guide. The top comment will be the next guide, but yeah, see ya.